I haven't gotten any sleep because I've been watching all the results trickle in, and maybe you haven't either based on what just happened in the midterm election between the Senate, House, and governor's races. Either way, I have all the crazy that went down. Let me explain. They said it was going to be a red wave. They said it could be as big as a tsunami. Well, they seem to have gotten more of a splash. It wasn't all bad. It wasn't all good. But there was one race that was an arse-kicking.
We have embraced freedom. We have maintained law and order. We have protected the rights of parents. We have respected our taxpayers, and we reject woke ideology. We fight the woke in the legislature. We fight the woke in the schools. We fight the woke in the corporations. We will never, ever surrender to the woke mob. Florida is where woke goes to die.
Can this entire country just become Florida, please? Because Governor Ron DeSantis went from winning the gubernatorial race in 2018 by just over 32,000 votes to absolutely destroying former Governor Charlie Crist by more than 1.5 million votes. And he did it all by actually governing when most of the Republicans cowered, and quite frankly, continue to cower. DeSantis governed brilliantly during Hurricane Ian, and he got the red tsunami. All of the Republicans were supposed to ride that tsunami, or wave at the very least, but they got what they deserved. Because for the majority, especially with the so-called leadership, they did what they always do, run on nothing. And here's the honest truth. Candidate quality matters. Right, Mehmet? Because Pennsylvanians decided they would rather have a hoodie man who had a stroke during the campaign and is still very much so obviously recovering than have a cardiothoracic surgeon who was on Oprah. All right, but I want to hear from you. What are your thoughts on the midterms? Happy? Sad? Indifferent? Any surprises for you? There were a few for me, but let me know your thoughts in the comments and then share this video so others can chime in too. And make sure you tune in for a lot of discussion and analysis on many of the races in our after-school elections special. I have many thoughts, and so do Alex, Jake, and David. Tune in and leave your own thoughts on what just happened in the midterms. There were so many things that I could talk about. So many things. But hey, I'm an optimistic realist, so let's talk about a few good things and a few things others may not be talking about enough. Most importantly, it appears that the Republicans will regain the House, which means we can all do this.
Happy dance.
A happy dance, not because Republicans are in control, but it means Nancy can go back to openly drinking her vodka. You know that makes her do a happy dance. But not all Democrats can be happy or dance.
Thick in the hips, come get in my car. Thick in the hips, come get in my car.
I need Clorox for my eyeballs. I'd say stick with politics, but ooh, too soon? Ah yes, the truest governor of planet Earth, Stacey Abrams, has lost yet again. And then poor Roberto. His dancing was almost as bad as how he did in yet another attempt for him to govern Texans. And Texans were much smarter than his antics of trying to be elected a third office in 4 years.
Yes, you once, you twice, 3 times a lady.
Maybe that's the strategy for the next time. Just pretend to be a lady. So I didn't watch the concession speech for Beto, but with it being his third loss, he should have just spared his 7 supporters and referred to basically the previous 2 speeches he had already done. Because let's be real, he probably cribbed from those speeches because he's not original in any way and cares just about getting his face in front of the cameras. Why else would you run for 3 different positions in 4 years? Attention seeker? And while the Democrats and the media, but I repeat myself, were preparing for the potential red wave after seeing how Beto went down in flames, they set the bar for themselves pretty low. and even put out the election conspiracies throughout the night.
Yeah, because MAGA has been trained not to use a drop box. Right. I mean, they're out there with guns and camo, right? I mean, they're not going to be doing that against their own people. Yeah. So they've been trained to not use the mail and not use drop boxes, but to show up in person.
On the flip side, nothing to see over there in Maricopa County, Arizona.
You put it in there, and tonight a Republican and a Democrat will sit and go through all of the misread ballots all over the county and count them, and it will get counted.
Okay. And both machines were not working. Yeah.
No, nothing's working in the last half hour. Nothing.
Thank you.
Nope. Nothing. And there's nothing to see over there. Hey, just listen to CNN's John King.
Stay off social media, people. If you're trying to figure out, are there really issues with votings? Trust your local officials. Trust us here. Trust a news source that you know and trust to be honest about this. They're doing their jobs and they're doing it right.
And I immediately proceeded to turn off CNN because what else were they spewing?
And you know what's missing from this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 top 5 issues? Democracy.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Because that's what we've been told forever and always is on the ballot. That's what's at stake here. And it's what the mainstream media put on its airwaves over and over in the final days. In the final sales pitch from Joe Biden's team is that we're all going to die. That's what they were putting out. We're all going to die. Well, I guess I should say at least your children are if the Republicans won. Well, some Republicans won, so I guess your children are going to die. According to Michael Beschloss, a historian and man who consulted Joe Biden.
A historian will say what was at stake tonight and this week was the fact whether we will be a democracy in the future, whether our children will be arrested and conceivably killed. We're on the edge of a brutal authoritarian system, and it could be a week away.
Anyone have a tinfoil hat that I can borrow? Because I bet that guy does. But some more on the threat of your kids dying, because over at MSNBC, they can't get enough of kids dying, especially when they are in their mommy's tummy. Yeah, I said what I said. Rachel Maddow couldn't care less about children, but she does care more about fear-mongering.
In Arizona, one of the things we have to think about is the fact that Arizona is an open carry state, and a lot of the far right in Arizona has been willing to use their open carry privilege as a form of political intimidation.
But again, whatever the results will be, they are not election result deniers. That only happens on the right. Except if you're Hillary Clinton forever and always, or Stacey Abrams circa 2018. At least this go around, she somewhat said that she remains the loser.
We may not have made it to the finish line, but we ran that race. And we know this path. And we know that running is what matters. That standing is what matters. That defending is what matters. I am here because this is a moment where despite every obstacle, we are still standing strong and standing tall and standing resolute and standing in our values.
How very ableist of you, Stacey. Why don't you go tell that to Governor Greg Abbott? Sheesh. At the moment, we don't have a final on anything when it comes to several Senate races or House races, so I'll have to twiddle my thumbs like the rest of you. Why not, then, look forward to the future, like what we can expect from those who will make up the electorate and who may have really helped a lot of Democrats during this midterm election. I have for you a representation of Gen Z, a trans Starbucks employee who is peak dramatic and only has the stamina to work for 3-minute increments.
I almost walked out today, and I'm crying in the back room right now, and I almost cried on the floor. It's just, I'm like a full-time student. I get scheduled for 25 hours a week, and on weekends they schedule me the entire day, open to close. I'm on the schedule for 8.5 hours, both Saturday and Sunday. I'm like 3.5 hours into my shift. There's so many customers, and we have 4 people on the floor all day. Only 5 people were put on the schedule, and somebody had to call out. And there are 4 people running the whole store, and there's so many customers, and there's possibly scheduled 5 people.
Nope. That may have actually made me the maddest out of this entire thing. That person still got a break even though the other 3 people are out there busting their keisters while you sit in the back and cry on the TikTok to a crowd of fellow crybabies. Maybe I should take the advice of the New York Times. You know, elections and anxiety go hand in hand. So the New York Times is telling everyone to take time to soothe the election stress you may be experiencing. Here are 5 ways. First, try 5-finger breathing. You can cool down by plunging your face into a bowl of ice water for 15 to 30 seconds. Oh, wait. I remember when the one and only, the Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez did this one. That's enough of that one. Back to the New York Times. You can move, breathe like a baby, and limit your scrolling. Thanks, New York Times. Always there with things that are ridiculous. All the news that's fit to print. And since they say to move, before we go, just one more time, with a little bit of optimism. Happy dance! Oh, no matter how you're feeling right now with the election results, or in some cases, lack thereof, we must remember that all of this is temporary. All of it. So if you haven't done so to this point, please do give a few F's. Faith, family, and friends. Then share this video with those who need a little giggle to brighten their day. And now, more than ever, stay healthy, America.